welcome back to the #1 sportscast in the world where we give full card predictions and a betting breakdown. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on and share this video as well. UFC 289, Nunes versus Aldana. I'm looking forward to breaking down this card. But before we do that, let's go ahead and recap UFC Vegas 74 along with our bets.
Yeah, man, really quick. What a card last Saturday at the Apex. We came off a profitable week. You returned, Martin, and straight away we profit 0.95 units. Thanks to some questionable judging, man. I had to get off the phone with the police on Saturday. I had to tell them there's a robbery at the Apex happening right now, and they didn't take me serious, man. It was a fun Saturday night, though. Our picks went 9-4. Went, like I said, turned 0.95 unit profit. Golden Knights took care of business. Wasn't even a sweat. They're up 2-0 in the Stanley Cup final. It was a good night, man, but we got to talk about that main event. We had Albazi. I had Albazi. You had picked Kai Kara France. Man, what did you think about that decision?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I don't think it was a robbery. And, you know what I mean? This whole robbery stuff, like, let's save it for when we really need to say it, like Patty versus Gordon. You know what I mean? Like, that's a robbery. Because you were clipping the fight when we were watching it. If you go back, you'll hear me say, no, Albazi won. I think Albazi won, and everyone's going to be upset, and they're going to call it a robbery. I called it before it happened. That's this whole open scoring stuff, man, dude, that really gets me going too, because dude, like, there's like Karens coming into our sport and saying that we need open judging. What next? We need their moms in the front row too. Like, even if the judges openly say, "Oh, I'm giving it to Albazi," you know, live, are you going to be upset live? You know what I mean? Like, that's what makes this sport different than the others. Is there's this judging dynamic that makes it, like people used to say, don't leave it in the hands of the judges. It's live judging. They're on the floor. They're looking. This is the locker room fight. This is where everyone goes in the locker room. They see two people fight. What happens the next day? John won. No, Billy won. No, John won. Did you see Billy's face? You know what I mean? That's what this sport is. You know, that's how I judge a winner.
Dude, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And man, you're right. I know you're kind of bragging right there, flexing, but you were right. The live odds came on the screen in that last fifth round. And I think Albazi was something like plus 500. And I said, oh, Martin, dang, looks like I'm going to lose my bet. Like, look at these odds. That's crazy. And you said, no, dude, that doesn't matter. Like, these judges can definitely mess this up. And sure enough, dude, they messed that up, in my opinion. And I will agree with you, Martin. I don't think that was a robbery. I was kind of joking in the beginning. But yeah, when someone does get clearly robbed, we can call it robbery. That was a close fight, man. That was a close fight that just went Albazi's way. And I think we're going to not see the judges as much on this card, because I do think we're going to see a lot of violence and a lot of finishes at this pay-per-view in Vancouver. So without any further ado, let's get right into the fights, Martin.
Action Sportscast. Opening up the card in the strawweight division, we have Diana, the Warrior Princess Belbita. Her odds are to -105. She's 26 years old. She's fighting Maria, the Spider Girl Oliveira, -115, 26 years old. I did a little tape studying on this one, actually a few, and I like discovering new fighters. And what I saw of Diana's, you could call her a veteran in the sport. Like, she's been in the fight game for four years now, maybe more. That's from how far back I went back. I think both these fighters are stand-up strikers, primary. Which makes, like I told you earlier, dude, I'm excited for this first card, like, to open up. Like, that's actually a good one. I don't think they just say, let's put Joe and Schmo and have them open up the card while we get ready for the rest. I think they do think these fights through. I'm leaning Diana. It's not an official pick, but if I had to pick one, I would pick Diana, solely based on, I think her ground game, she's more dedicated to it. And I think that's what's going to give her the W on this one. Decision.
Yeah, man, right away, we're on the opposite sides. I have Oliveira in this fight. Going to be a close fight, though, man. Vegas has him at pick him for a reason. Like you said, though, a fight between two stand-up fighters. I think this is going to take place on the feet. The way both these girls lose is they get out-grappled by better grapplers, and neither of these girls is a good grappler, so I don't really foresee that happening in this fight. Should be a 15-minute striking fight that hits the over. I don't really see any finishing ability here from either girl. And, you know, I'll be honest, neither one has had a good UFC run so far. Belbita 1-4 in 5 UFC level fights. Oliveira 1-2 in 3 UFC level fights. So you could argue that they're fighting for their money or their job, really. So like you said, I think it will be an exciting fight to open the card, and I think it does go to decision with Oliveira winning.
Action Sportscast. Next up in the flyweight division, we have David the Undertaker Dvorak. He's 20-5. You can catch his odds at DraftKings at a -265. He's 31 years old. He's taking on Steve Astro Boy Erceg, making his UFC debut. He's a last-minute replacement. I call him the Australian hype train. His odds at the DraftKings is at a +225. He's 27 years old. Effie.
Yeah, man, a lot of love coming in on Steve here. The betting line's, closing in on Dvorak here, but I'm going with Dvorak here. Just so overall better fighter in my opinion. Dvorak super well-rounded. A lot of the flyweights are well-rounded. Tough to find a specialist in that division, but I view Steve more as a grappler. He really wants to get that grappling going, and who knows, man? Maybe he can. Maybe the more this fight gets extended, I know he's on short notice. Maybe in that second and third round, those takedowns do come easier. But I trust Dvorak here, man. To me, this fight is just a fight between a guy who, I get it, Dvorak's 3-2 in the UFC, but the two losses are to two high-level guys, dude. Manel Kape and Mateus Nicolau. High-level guys, man. If you go to those two guys to Steve Erceg, that's a huge step down in competition, in my opinion. I think that Dvorak should be the rightful favorite in this fight, and I think that he's going to win this fight fairly easily. I think it goes to decision, and I'm interested to see the grappling exchanges in this fight. I know that Dvorak is, in my opinion, the better quote-unquote striker, but he can be low volume at times, and he's been dropped in 2 straight fights. So, like I said, I just chalked that up to a better high-level competition. I doubt that Erceg's facing that level of competition on the Australian regional scene. Do you have any opinion on this fight, Martin, at all?
Dude. What tapes are you watching, dude? Are we looking at the same tape?
Well, okay.
Holy smokes. Everything you're saying, I'm like, I think the complete opposite on this one.
All right.
I think Steve is not the better grappler. I think David is. I think Steve is the better striker, not David. I mean, look at the odds. Pay attention to the odds, son.
Okay.
I mean, they are leaning, money is coming in towards Steve. This guy is it, dude. This guy is fight ready. When I say someone is fight ready, I mean their body is pristine. It's how it should look when you're a UFC fighter. I think this guy is so fast at his counter striking. I think that's where David is gonna find, where there's some holes in David's game. You see, the thing about Steve is he commits when he throws. His right hand, he's going all for it. If there's a punch coming his way, he doesn't care. And David, he tends to throw but leave his hands down, and that's where I can see Steve counter punching with a right hook and just knocking him out. So I can't see this going to decision, Steve, but I do also see a KO from Steve. I love this fight. Wow. So exciting. Both these guys are W Keith players, and in the gaming scene, you know what that means. It means W means you're pushing forward. You keep your finger on the W key, you move forward. Who cares what happens? I'm excited.
Absolutely, man. And I will say, you said look at the odds. The one, I guess, prop you could say I was looking at, shout out to my boy MMA Propaholic, Steve by sub +600. I feel like he's going to want this fight to be on the ground. Dvorak is a dangerous striker in my opinion. I know you don't think so, but I think that Steve will look to grapple in this fight, and a submission odds at +600 might be worth a sprinkle. So I'm going with Dvorak, you're going with Steve. 2 for 2 head-to-heads, different picks so far, man. I love it.
Action Sportscast.
Next up in the featherweight division, we have Blake Builder, El Animal. He's the moderate favorite. You can catch his odds around -200 to the -235 range in some sports books. He's 32 years old. He's taking on Kyle, the Monster Nelson, 13-5. He's a slight underdog, +165 to the +200 range. He's 32 years old. He has a 3 reach inch advantage. I'm leaning Kyle Nelson. The Monster always wins over the Animal. I think he's a heavier hitter. Blake hasn't shown anything to me that, that impresses me to say, this guy wants it. He's hungry. I think he's just another avatar in the UFC game, just another body. And I just really feel Kyle on this one.
Hey man, big underdog pick you just took. I'm going the opposite way. That's 3 for 3 opposite picks we have now. And just so you guys know, we don't talk about the fights up until we sit down and record. So I don't know any of Martin's picks up until he starts talking right before the picks are coming out. But I'm on the opposite side, man. I think that Blake Builder, is an up-and-coming prospect. I did like his lateral movement in his last fight, and he had that club and sub, looked good on Dana White Contender Series. More of a grappler in the sense of how he fights, where Kyle Nelson will probably have the striking advantage in this fight. Like you said, he has a 3-inch reach advantage in this fight. The beginning of this fight might be dangerous for Blake. I'm going to be interested to see how he approaches this fight, because he doesn't have the best striking defense, man. He keeps his head on the center line way too often. But he's still young. Both these guys are still 32, whereas Kyle's has way more experience at the same age. But I do lean Blake Builder to win this fight. I think that he's going to get this fight down and either win a decision or get that finish on the mat. I think that he's going to get a submission or a or just a 3-round 30-27 decision here. So I understand the pick on the underdog here in Kyle Nelson, but I think he should have lost his last fight if it wasn't for that phantom headbutt point deduction. He would be 1-5 in the UFC. So I think that this is two level of grapplers. I understand they're the same age, but give me Blake Builder to win a decision.
Next up in the bantamweight division, we have Zahabi. He's 9-2. This fight's at a near pick'em. He's 35 years old, and he's taking on.
Arichi Lang.
Yeah, I know. It's right here. One more time. Ready?
But Zahabi.
I got it. Zahabi. Ready? Well, I'm hot. Oh, stop me. I want to
But
pronounce.
Zahabi has more than just his. What's his first name?
I can't say it. It's A-Man.
Action Sportscast.
Next up in the bantamweight division, we have A-Man Zahabi. He's 9-2. This fight's at a pick'em. He's 35 years old, and he's taking on Arichi Lang, a light favorite. -120 to -30 range in some books. He's 29 years old. Effie.
Our first bet of the night. Arichi Lang -120, 1.2 units, and we might lay more. I like him in this fight, man. First of all, 6 years younger, way better striker in my opinion. I understand Zahabi has, respectable power, but dude, he's just so inactive in general, like fighting-wise, scheduling fights, and he's kind of inactive during the fight. Like he doesn't throw that much volume. Where Arichi Lang's gonna be the fighter going forward. I think you've mentioned the W keypad, something about a video game player. I don't know nothing about that, but yes, he will be going forward, attacking. That's just the way he fights. Suspect grappling, we'll give him that. Zahabi, his brother, GSP's coach, he does have a good fight IQ, does come from a good gym, but just super inactive, man. 36 years old at bantamweight. At -120, I'm taking the Mongolian murderer here. Give me a funny hat, furry bet.
Action Sportscast.
Next up in the flyweight division, we have Jasmine Jasduvicius. She's the moderate underdog. You can catch her at some sportsbook at a +240. She's 34 years old, and she's taking on Miranda Fear, the Maverick. She's 11-4. A huge favorite, some books putting her at a -300. She's the younger one, 25 years old. Effie.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, I'm going with Maverick here. I'm pretty confident she wins this fight. I think that she's gonna light up Jasmine on the feet. Jasmine was getting lit up by freaking, who's that girl, Kay Hansen, that got cut with the Statue of Liberty tattoo? And that's a terrible look, man. Kay Hansen's not UFC level, obviously, because she's been cut since, but Miranda Maverick, it's tough because she's 4-2 in the UFC, and her losses, one was to Erin Blanchfield, the future champion, and the other one was to Macy Barber, and that was a very bad look, dude. So where I got the feeling where if you watch Maverick fight, she needs a grappling and strength advantage over her opponents, and if you can nullify that, it gets pretty sketchy, man. On the feet, she's decent. I think that she does have the better striking in this fight, although Jasmine will be the taller, longer fighter. And I'm interested to see how it looks at distance. At -300, it does seem wide to me, though. So if Jasmine can keep this on the feet, which I don't think she will, I think that she will get taken down in this fight. It could be close, man, but I think that the bigger, stronger fighter will be Jasmine Jasduvicius in this fight. But I don't think it will matter at -300. I can't parlay Maverick. I can't touch that money line. Women's MMA fight, dude, no way. Untrustworthy for sure. Give me Maverick to win a decision. What do you think?
I mean, with a name like Fear the, in quotations, I mean, it says it all. I just did a few minutes of tape work, and I'm like, holy crap, this is a scary girl. Miranda, I mean, the odds are, I can see why it's justified that. This is one of those fights where I think Jasmine has to come in with her head fully on. Even if it's off a centimeter off, she cannot win this fight. I don't think she has the advantage on top or on the ground. This is one of those fights where, oh, I was sick or I had a headache. If any one of those factors she had, she's not winning this fight. So I need to know where she is mentally, her health. But obviously, I'm going to lean Miranda, a huge favorite. I love it.
Right. I mean, I feel like everyone's really, really high on Miranda. She does seem like a real deal prospect, but you see what happened to her against Blanchfield, and she got mollywopped, dude. She got controlled for 12 minutes out of a 15-minute fight. So that was a very strange fight. And then, like I said, the loss to Macy Barber in a fight that she could claim that she won. I think that all of the MMA media scored it for Maverick. Tough loss to have, but it's weird. It's like a crossroads fight where she definitely has to prove and have a good statement here on this pay-per-view. So, yeah, man, I think that she's going to win. Give me Miranda Maverick to win a decision.
Action Sportscast.
Next up in the middleweight division, we have Nasruddin Imavov, the Russian sniper. He's 12-4. You can catch him at some books at -150. He's 27 years old, and he's taking on Chris, the Action Man Curtis. He's 30-10. Near even at some books, he's 35 years old. Effie.
Dude, straight banger of a fight. I love this fight. A little bit of a revenge factor here. So Chris Curtis was super salty after that Kevin Gastelum loss where he got headbutted in that second round and ended up losing the decision. And it kind of looked like he got knocked down, but it ended up being a headbutt. And he was on Twitter, bro, for like 2 weeks after, like complaining. Like, it was weird, like tweeting at random people. But as far as the actual fight and how this is going to go, I think that Imavov is going to win this fight. I have 2 units on Imavov at minus 150. And I love this bet, man. I understand that he had an ankle surgery in February, which is a big red flag for sure. But I think that this fight is going to be standing up, for one, for 15 minutes. And for 2, I think that Imavov is going to be able to keep distance, stay at range, and pick apart Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis has really good body shots, really good hooks to the body, and he's a really good counter puncher. So in those exchanges, when they do crash the pocket, it will be dangerous for Imavov. Imavov has to risk not getting knocked out when he does crash the pocket against Chris Curtis, a very good counter puncher. But Chris Curtis is a very slow starter, and like I said, he's okay fighting off his back foot and could be low output at times. I'm going, and I will say, and hand up to Chris Curtis. He does have very, very good takedown defense. So I don't really foresee Imavov trying to really go for that, really trying to get this fight down. If it does get down, I think that'll come from the clinch, maybe a trip along the cage. But I'm going with Imavov here. Like I said, the taller, longer fighter who's 8 years younger. Chris Curtis, I think, will be his 5th fight in 12 months, man. That's a lot of weight cuts for someone getting up there in age. And he's kind of small for the division. So I'm going with a guy that's 8 years younger with a longer reach. Give me Imavov, man. Who you got?
I'm leaning Chris Curtis, the action man.
Damn.
I mean, there's something about having a special connection with fighters that, like,
Oh my god,
are in our hometown. We ran into him, and we do have a Chris Curtis interview. If you guys want to check that out, you know what I mean. This is my impression of him. Hey guys, I'm Chris. Hey, I'm so happy. Nothing can piss me off. You know what I mean? That's me. Yeah, I'm here training, dude. This guy is the guy you don't want to piss off. Like he in the cage is where you see a different Chris Curtis, and that's the Chris Curtis that I think will show up. Is, you know, he's gonna put the W Chris Curtis. I like that one. So my pick.
Yeah, man, I definitely get that pick. And he's a live underdog for sure. Imavov, though, a super durable guy, but he does tend to gas. So in that third round, I mean, me and you don't have access to live betting, but a live Chris Curtis bet after he probably drops round 1 isn't a bad look. So gonna be a great fight, and this is like where the fight or the card really starts to take off. Like the rest of the fights are all bangers. So I'm looking forward to this fight. Got 2 units on Imavov at minus 150.
Any action sportscast.
Next up in the middleweight division, we have Eric Yaboy Anders. He's 15-7. You can catch him at some books at a near even at a plus 115. He's 36 years old, and he's taking on Mark Andre Powerbar Barrialt. He's 15-6. At some books, a minus 140, minus 135, 33 years old. Effie.
Yeah, man, sprawl and brawl here for Marc Andre Barriault. I got him in this fight. Interesting to see money coming in on Anders, though. This line's crashing. Earlier in the week, Barriault was minus 155, minus 160, and he's already down minus 135, minus 130. So, you know, money coming in on Anders, and I'm kind of confused by that because the way I look at this fight, Anders needs to get this fight to the ground. I think that Marc Andre will be the very more so dangerous striker when it is, you know, extended on the feet in this fight, whereas Anders is just a better athlete. You know, played college football at Alabama. You know, that's pretty impressive to me. But I mean, so what? Like he's 7-7 in the UFC, right? He's a 500 fighter. He's not very good anywhere other than being able to push the pace and being explosive and a long, dangerous fighter. He throws heavy hands, but doesn't throw in combination. Doesn't have the best cardio, and that's why I think it's gonna hurt him in this fight. That's why they call him the power bar. Marc Andre will be there in that third round, looking fresh. So I think that if anything, Anders might look good in the beginning, win that first round, and then sort of fade as this gets extended because he's going to be looking for those takedowns more. And so you get tired, you know, shooting. I think that Barriault is going to be able to keep this on the feet, sprawl and brawl, and either win via third round finish or decision. What about you?
I'm picking Power Bar.
Oh, our first pick the same.
So him being at Canada, him being in his hometown, I mean, that aura is just going to amp him up more. This guy looks like a power machine. I think there's a reason why they're putting him up to open up the main card. They wanted 2 big swing and bangers. I think that's what we're going to get to open up the card. If Eric's gas tank isn't there, I mean, Barriault all day and KO. I don't see this fight going to decision.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a good fight, and I do agree with you. It's funny that they put Chris Curtis on the prelims, and they put this on the main card. But, you know, I think some fighters actually look forward to being that last prelim more than, like, I guess you could say this spot. But a good fight to start the pay-per-view for sure. Give me Marc Andre Barriault. like I said, either third round stoppage or decision.
Any Action Sportscast.
Next up in the featherweight division, we have Dan 50K Ige. He's a moderate favorite, minus 230 at some books. He's 31 years old, and he's taking on Nate, the Train Landwehr. He's 17-4. Some books you can catch him at a plus 190. The underdog, but when wasn't he the underdog? He's 35 years old. FE.
Dude, straight banger of a fight. I can't wait for this fight. They are helping the pay-per-view big time with this fight. This fight, the co-main event, and even Adam Fugue and Mike Malai all up for fight of the night contention here. But I'm going with Dan Ige. I've been flip-flopping back and forth this week, but I'm ultimately going to go with Dan Ige. I do think that he's a more dangerous fighter in this fight. The under 2.5 has my eye because I'm looking at the over. I don't think that Nate is going to be able to finish Dan Ige, dude. He's been in there with Calvin Kattar, Korean Zombie, Josh Emmett, Edson Barbosa, and no one can finish him. Like, this guy's Hawaiian. He's got the Hawaiian chin. This dude, he might be Mexican for all I know how good his chin is. Super, super durable. This guy's a warrior. And he's a super well-rounded fighter. And it comes down to those exchanges in the pocket. When these guys get into the pocket, Dan is just way quicker to the face, quicker to the target than Nate. Nate's more loopy in his strikes. And I just think that in the pocket, Dan's a way more technical and clean, crisper striker. And then you bring in the grappling, where I actually do think that Nate will be able to get some takedowns in this fight. But man, he's 35 years old. Dan Ige seems to be, taking care of competition that isn't the top level. I mean, all those guys that I mentioned, they all beat Dan Ige, so how much can you really put stock into that? But man, it's tough. At these odds, I was kind of surprised, man. I figured it'd be closer to a minus 185 Dan Ige, but minus 230 getting up there for me. I'm gonna pass on the money lines, but I am taking a look at that over 2.5 rounds because I don't see Nate being able to finish Dan Ige. If anything, I think Dan Ige is gonna finish Nate. So in a fight where I only see one fighter getting finish equity, I might have to look at that over. So who you got in this fight, man?
Gun to my head. I shouldn't say gun to my head. I'm gonna bleep it out because YouTube. But I'm gonna say Dan Ige. I like Nate the Train. I want Nate the Train to win. I'm on the Nate train. In fact, I bought a year's pass. That's how much I like the Nate the Train. You know what I mean? My thing is Dan Ige's wrestling. You know what I mean? If I'm Dan Ige's team, I go, okay, let's wrestle him the first couple rounds. Let's slow down his striking. The thing about Nate the Train is he doesn't impress me to the point where, like, when he comes out, that he owns the mat. He dictates the octagon. He's more of like, look at his last 3 wins. His rear naked choke. He's got a majority decision, another choke, a submission. You know what I mean? So it's not like he's knocking people out. It's why people like Nate the Train is because he's like this comeback kid story. It's like he just battles and ends up taking the W. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why he's here, and that's how he has to win or can win. Is, you know what I mean? Is we need the Nate the Train the past 2 ones, just pull out a choke or, just out gas tank Dan Ige, but I can see it going Dan Ige decision.
Yeah, man, and that's why I like that over. And just really quick on those odds, I think it's really surprising and a little bit kind of shows you that recency bias in gambling, where Dan Ige is now like bigger favorite over Nate the Train than he was over Damon Jackson. And I would take Nate the Train over Damon Jackson. You knocked out Damon Jackson, and now they think that he's going to be a bigger favorite over a better fighter. I think that's kind of funny. So I'm staying off this fight. I'm not betting it unless I'm looking at that over. If fight goes to the decision, probably get some plus money there. But I'm expecting a brawl here. A scrap, swing and bang type fight. Going to be super exciting. Can't wait for this fight. But I agree. Give me Dan Ige via decision.
Any Action Sportscast.
Next up in the welterweight division, we have Mike Proper Mallet. 9-1-1 at some books. You can catch him at a minus 210. He's fighting in his hometown in Canada. He's 31 years old. He's taking on Adam Fugit, 9-3, the slight underdog. The underdog again. He's always been the underdog. He's always seemed to impress us. He's 34 years old. Effie.
Yeah, man. Where do we start on this fight? Nothing but violence, man. Both these guys are finishers. The under 2.5 is minus 275. The books expect someone to get finished in this fight. But I'm going with the Adam Fugit to win via decision, man. We haven't seen Mike Malott extended. And I know. Oh, you're biased. Oh, he's on your show. Oh, you interviewed him. You're just picking him because you like him, blah, blah, blah. A little bit, true, yes. But there's value, dude. They thought the same thing against Kinoshita in his last fight. There is people calling this kid the Asian Conor McGregor. I was like, what the hell? This dude can't wrestle. And Adam can, man. Adam's super well-rounded. He's paid his dues. And I'm not saying Mike Malott hasn't, But this guy hasn't really been in a war yet, where Adam, that's all he does. All he does is get into wars. Adam's been proven, he's been tested. I think that he gained everyone's respect in his debut against Morales on short notice, where he did win a round against a very, very high-level prospect. Then he comes back on a full camp, his first full camp in the UFC, and upsets a very good Chinese prospect as a huge underdog, which we cashed. And I'm going back to the well. Adam Fugit, half unit shot at plus 170, man. I think that Malat probably should be the rightful favorite. On the feet, it's going to be dangerous. Malat is fast, very powerful striking, good kickboxer. And on the ground, it's probably going to be 50-50. I will say, man, all you guys should go watch Adam Fugit versus Nick Maximoff, a grappling match on Fight Pass. I know that Adam loses, but he's not a scrub in jiu-jitsu, man. This guy knows what he's doing on the mat. He could definitely wrestle. And he comes from a Muay Thai background, man. This guy is a pretty well-rounded fighter that, like I said, paid his dues. And he's just looking for an exciting fight. If you watch any of his interviews, he's looking for a finish. So that does worry me a little bit. He is hittable. You know, it seems to me a lot of his opponents are younger than him, have a speed advantage. But he's able to get to their guards and get to him and end up putting him out. So I'm going with Adam Fugit in this fight. A little bit of a bias pick. I do have a half unit shot, like I said, at plus 170. What are your thoughts on this fight, Martin?
Pretty much what you said. I mean, you nailed it. I'm leaning Mallet, but I think he is a heavy striker. The thing is, I think Adam is the more cautious striker. I think he's more precise when he lands, and when he lands, you know, it hurts. It takes people out. Watching tape on Mike, I think he almost relies on that rear naked choke. I think he likes to bait people to take him down as if they're in control, and he just grabs your neck and he submits you from the bottom, or he reverses you and gets top mount. The thing, like you said, is Adam knows jiu-jitsu. You know, he is a wrestler. I mean, look at the t-shirt that's inspired because of Adam Fugit. That is any action / wrestling Adam Fugit inspired t-shirt. So I like how they might respect each other's ground game and keep it on the feet. That's why I do like your pick of Adam Fugit decision. Like, that is a possibility. Or a knockout. I think Adam is on this aura where he nothing can stop him. I mean, Mike, it has a family of just athletes, so he's kind of used to this lifestyle. So is he bored of it? Is he not appreciating it? Adam is appreciating it. And that can drive people. I mean, that's what they call he's on his hype. They're on a roll. I mean, and I think that's what's going to make Adam take the W in this fight.
Absolutely, man. I'm not saying that, you know, I don't think you are either, that like Mike Malott is like some sort of ungrateful person or anything. He seems like a good enough guy. And yeah, man, he's a younger fighter, a pretty quick fighter, a very dangerous striker, going to be dangerous on the feet. And I'm super interested to see if Adam Fugit can survive that first round fire, what this fight will look like in that second and third round. I'm going with the homie Adam Fugit, and like Martin said, when we interviewed him years ago after his LFA title win, we told him in the interview, we're going to send you a shirt. And we still haven't sent him that shirt, but if you're watching, bro, we'll clip this and send it to you. We'll send this shirt eventually to you, dude. Shout out to Oregon, shout out to Eugene, Oregon, putting on for the Pacific Northwest. Let's go at him, man. Plus 170, half unit shot. Let's go.
Any Action Sportscast.
In the co-main event taking place in the lightweight division, we have Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira. He's 33-9, plus 120 at some books. He's 33 years old. He's taking on Benny Dariush. He's 22-4. The slight favorite, minus 135 in some books. 34 years old. FE.
Dude, the people's main event, 100%. Can't wait for this fight. The reason why we all are going to buy this pay-per-view, just a super high-level lightweight fight. Winner gets the champion, Islam Makhachev. If Charles wins, he's going to get that rematch. And if Benny wins, he can't deny this guy anymore. You could argue that he deserves a title shot already. But, man, what a close fight. And I'm going with Charles Oliveira here. At plus 120, I might find myself betting him on the money line here. But call me crazy, Martin. I'm going by Charles Oliveira to win via decision. I understand, man. He's getting dropped by everybody. Justin Gaethje dropped him. Michael Chandler dropped him. Dustin Poirier dropped him. Islam Makhachev dropped him. It's not a good look, but I do think that he's going to be able to, withstand Benny Dariush here. Benny Dariush, very good, slick striker, dangerous striker, heavy hands in his own right, and a very good grappler, man. A lot of people are sleeping on his grappling. I mean, I understand he's the favorite, but I feel like a lot of casuals out there aren't putting enough respect on his own grappling. Like, this dude is a savage on the mat. It's just that I think on the feet that the Muay Thai from Charles Oliveira is going to be better than the striking from Dariush here. And I think that he's going to be able to nullify the wrestling here. In those previous fights where he was getting dropped by Justin Gaethje, by Chandler, by Dustin, by all those guys other than Islam, those guys were sort of afraid to enter his guard, right? They didn't have the grappling to challenge Charles, where if Benny does clip Charles, he won't be afraid to enter his guard. He's gonna go for like just like Islam did and try to prove himself on the mat here in his guard. So it's gonna be a close fight, and I think that both guys, you know, are gonna be throwing down. I do think that picking a decision here is, you know, kind of going out on a limb, because Charles Oliveira has fought 31 times, 28 wins inside the distance, only like 4 or 3 decisions in his whole career. This guy's out there, you know, trying to finish the fight. He doesn't get paid by the minute. I'm going with Charles Oliveira though, man. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on him just because he lost to Islam Makhachev. And I understand, dude. I respect Beneil Dariush. I like him as a fighter. He's a really good dude, and he's very skilled, man. A very well-rounded fighter. But I'm going with Charles Oliveira to win via decision.
Any Action Sportscast.
In the main event, it's a championship fight taking place in the bantamweight division. We have Amanda, the Lioness Nunes. She's 22-5. Her odds are at -330. She's 35 years old. She's taking on Irene Aldana, a last-minute replacement, the number 4 ranked bantamweight. She's 14-6. Her odds are at +260. She's 35 years old. FE.
And still, and it's just a matter of how does Amanda Nunes win. Does she finish this fight, or does she win via decision? I don't think that she's going to lose. I feel like a lot of people are doubting her in this fight because she's getting up there in age more. And, you know, she's had it all for a while. She's been running the game for so long now. 35 years old, has a kid, has another one coming in. Apparently, John Anik's saying that her own gym is like a private gym with just her pregnant wife, and Ariana Lipsky. And it's like, so how good of a training can you actually be getting at 35 years old? It's just, she's way better than Irene Aldana. So Irene Aldana is coming off beating Jamie Chason, where she needed a freak meme up kick to the ribs to win that fight. She was on her way to lose that fight. I had her in that fight, and I was like, dude, are you kidding me? She's going to lose to this scrub. And it just comes down to the wrestling. So I understand the questions, you know, here for Amanda Nunes' motivation, but I question the wrestling of Aldana big time here. So she was taken down 3 times by Chason in a 3-round fight. She was taken down 5 times by Holly Holm, a striker, a kickboxer, in a 5-round fight. I think that if the striking does get hairy for Amanda Nunes here, she's just gonna, you know, level change here and get this fight to the ground or along the cage in the clinch. I think that she'll be the stronger girl in this fight, which is funny because she's actually younger in this fight, and everyone wants to talk about how old she is. Aldana's 35 years old in her own right, so give me Amanda Nunes, man. I feel like a lot of people are doubting her for no reason here other than she did doubt Juliana Pena in that first fight. What do you think, bro?
I mean, quick pick, producer Martin pick Amanda Nunes. I'm shocked of the odds.
Really?
I think it should be higher. I think we should be looking at that -900 insane rate where you don't want to lay your money down. This is one of those bets where, I mean, you've got the cash. I mean, you lay the house on it. I mean, this is a pretty good possibility that she's going to win. I mean, I think it's more than 80% that Amanda Nunes wins. I mean, the only way she loses is a huge upset or a fixed fight. I don't think she's into fixing fights. I'm getting retirement vibes from Amanda Nunes. I can see her winning and laying down the gloves this fight. You know what I mean? Like you said, she's got the family, a private gym. Why did she do that right now? You know, why isn't she bringing in top tier spars or like coaches? She is where she's at. She's content. I don't see Irene, you know, W King Amanda. I think Amanda's the heavier puncher. I think she gains Irene's respect early, which makes Irene tentative and striking, and I just see it going to decision or rear naked choke. Amanda Nunes.
Really? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm actually looking at the over myself, dude. At 2.5 rounds, over is -130, because I feel like if Amanda's gonna look good, she's gonna look good really early, and I just hope that Aldana doesn't get finished. She is Mexican, you know, she has that chin, that Mexican blood in her veins, but dude, she was supposed to fight Raquel Pennington, and then Pena gets injured, and then so she gets, you know, the replacement fight. So you go from fighting Raquel Pennington to Amanda Nunes. I mean, come on. I don't want to disrespect the champion, and I do agree with you. This line just feels like it might be a buy low spot on Amanda Nunes. Like, we might just have to lay the house on this 35-year-old champion here. So, man, -360, like you said, man, it does feel strange. I think that she's a better, more dangerous striker. I understand that Aldana has very crisp, long striking. In her own right, but dude, give me Nunes all day and night, and still, I'm gonna go via decision. I'm gonna take a look at that over, but yeah, give me Nunes via decision.